Hold on. I just want to make one thing clear. This channel is not easy money. I'm not a guru trying to sell you a course for $5,000, guaranteeing you you're going to get rich. Because that's just not real life. So if that's what you're looking for, honestly, I'm not sure if this channel is going to be for you. However, if you're willing to put the work in, and the time in, and the effort, I guarantee you a certain amount of success in your life. Now with that being said, happy 2019. Who set a resolution for yourselves? If you did, let me know in the comments below. This channel was made to educate and to motivate and to make sure that you and I set goals for ourselves and are doing something every day to work towards the goals that we've set. And if we're able to do that and build a positive community, honestly, that's what I'm looking for. Now this channel, we're going to talk about e-commerce, we're going to talk about Shopify, Amazon FBA, social media platforms, advertising platforms, the whole nine. So if you find value in the content that I'm producing, or if you think I look funny, whatever it is, do me a favor, hit the like button. More importantly, subscribe, hit that little bell so you can join in on being the best version of yourself in 2019. So without further ado, here's my video on how I made over $1,000 a day in sales in just over a week. Enjoy. Okay, so in this video, we are going to be under the assumption that you have your store created, you installed your pixel, you did your product research, you have your ad ready, you're really ready to go and start advertising and start generating sales. I'm going to have these notes posted in the link below for free, of course. And also at the end of the video, I'm going to post all of these acronyms and the definitions for them, just in case you didn't understand some of the things that we're talking about. ATC, IC, PUR. I'll define it all at the end on a sheet for you guys to use. Let's start off by going to our business manager, right? That I have conveniently ready for you. So if you saw the video about me getting my ad account banned, this is actually a really good tip for you guys just starting off. In your business manager, you can make up to, I think, 5 ad accounts. And I suggest you do it just in case you do have problems with one. And it's as simple as going here, you add an ad account. If you have one already, you can just add it here. If not, just create the ad account and it should be self-explanatory. Okay, after you have your ad account created, it's going to look like this. This is going to be your ads manager. So first off, what we're going to want to do is set up your toolbar. You want to get yourself ready to study the metrics that we're going to go over. So you can actually just copy what I have. We're not going to need these two. I was just playing around to show you guys. Start from scratch completely. Okay. But this is my toolbar the way I have it set up. To go over it briefly, I have your campaign name and everything is the same with the first 3 usually. The amount spent is how much I'm spending on the ad. The purchase conversion value is how much you're making. The return on ad spend is something we're going to talk about. It's a very important metrics that we're going to study. This over here shows our funnel, right? So if you think about it, once someone clicks on your link that you're advertising, they're going to go to the content that you're trying to push them to. And then if they like it, they're going to add to cart, initiate checkout, add payment info, and finally the purchase, right? So studying this funnel right here, once you have metrics under it, you can kind of analyze and see what's working well. Maybe you have a certain part of your funnel where people are getting stuck at, and you can try to identify the problem and focus on clearing up that congestion. Okay, and then we have purchases that tells you the amount of purchase that you have. The budget, if you have CPO on, you'll see your budget here when you're under campaigns. If you have a budget per ad set, then you're going to have to go to your ad sets page. The results is a little different than purchases because it also shows link clicks in case you're doing like a PPE. Reach impressions, you guys know. I like to see video watched at 75% just to see if there's certain ad sets where people are more engaged to the video. Video average time is useful just in case people are ending the video earlier, or if you see an ad set with a higher average watch time, it might mean that they're more engaged to what you're trying to sell them. And the rest, we have CPC, cost per click, frequency, which is important to a certain extent. You're not going to have too many issues with it if you're doing purchase conversions, but if you're doing PPE and retargeting, you're going to want to keep an eye on your frequency and not let it get too high, because then consumers are just going to see your ad continuously and they might get subject to something called ad blindness, which is essentially if you see the same thing 10 times a day, eventually you're just going to block it out. CPM is your cost per 1,000 impressions, your click-through rate. Okay, so once you have your toolbar set up, we will be ready to split test your creatives. Split testing creatives means if you have a couple of different ads or several ads, you can test them against each other to see if one has a better rate of engagement, more add to carts, maybe even purchases. Don't spend too much money on this when you're testing your creatives. It's really just to get a little information. So I did test creatives. However, personally, if I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't split test creatives. I knew pretty well which ad would work. It was the video ad that I liked and put a lot of time into. So we're going to go ahead and assume that we have an ad selected, and we're going to go ahead and make a campaign for PPE, which is for page engagements. This is going to help us gather social proof. So social proof is just if you see a post with a lot of likes, a lot of comments, if you think about it naturally, you're more inclined to be attracted to it because there's a lot of other people saying the product's cool or it's a good price. So in our campaigns, eventually you're going to have a lot of campaigns and a lot of different ad sets. It's good to be pretty specific. So for this, we're going to call it our product X. All right, let's just say X, whatever we're selling. Sometimes it's good to put the date, the type of objective, which is paid engagement, and then we are also going to put the audience. So we're going to go worldwide for this one to keep it cheap. For the campaign objective, you're going to go down to post engagement. So that's going to ask Facebook to find people to like, comment, share the ad that you put up, which is what you should do for my YouTube channel, by the way. And then we can create the ad set name. It's something very similar. We'll just call it product X. Now that that's created, it's going to open you up here. All right. So you're going to see that campaign you made just up here. Right here is the campaign level. And after that, we're going to go drop down to the ad set level. Okay. Now here's the ad set. All the information you need is going to be listed. For your budget, I would suggest no more than $5 a day for this. For the location, I'm going to go worldwide, excluding certain countries. Okay, so as you can see, over here, you're going to see the potential reach for the worldwide audience, right? 2 billion is pretty broad, so we're going to want to narrow it down a little bit. Over here, you can exclude, let's say, countries like India, China, Africa, and there's a few more that you can do, but you kind of get the point. And as you can see, it's going to begin to start narrowing down your target audience. You want this broad, though. Keep that in mind. You might not need 3 billion people, but you want this broad because all we want to do is have people see the ad and hopefully like, comment, share, which is what you should do for this YouTube channel. Now, moving down, we aren't going to include any interest or demographics or whatnot, and just because it's explained, we want it as broad as possible. And we're going to leave this ad running for about 3 days. 3 days should get you towards 100,000 views, which is what we're going to base our first lookalike audience off of. And we're going to get into that soon. Over here on the ad level, you're going to select the ad that you want to use. So let's say you posted the video on your Facebook page. You're going to go down here, use existing post. This is where you can actually select the page that you want to use. Let's say you have several business pages on Facebook. You just sort it here. For existing posts, right? On default, it's going to do this. Don't create the ad here. You want to use the same post because all that information, all that engagement is going to be collected on that one post, and it's going to continue to collect engagement. All you have to do is select post, and then it's going to show you the list of posts that you made on that page that you selected. You can also use post ID if you know it already. Okay, and once you select it, you see you'll have my ad here with already 986 likes. It's going to pop up, and you are going to be pretty much good to go. You don't have to change too much here. You're going to have your pixel installed already, so this is going to show your pixel. Now all you want to do is hit publish. Now you're going to have this going for a few days, right? I guess you guys get the point. You're going to have this ad going for 3 days. Let's go back to the notes. So during these 3 days, you can go ahead and start creating ad sets with interests. Now for your interest, you can use common sense. Say you're selling a yoga mat. You're going to want to target people who are into yoga. Now, you can actually get a little bit more into it with this audience insight tool. If you go over here and go to audience insights, there's plenty of videos out there that teaches you how to do flex targeting and how to focus your interests. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that out for now. If you have questions about it, you feel free to ask me in the comments below, but you should figure it out pretty quickly. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create a campaign for our interests. Let's say it's product X, and all my interests for product X. And then we're going for purchase conversions, and we're going to target the US. Right. Now our first one, let's say product X, if we are selling a yoga mat, we're going to go yoga mat. What the interest might be, let's say Lululemon, right? Yoga pants type of crowd. And then who we're targeting, and then the date. Where we're targeting, I'm sorry. So the only difference between this time and last time is that our campaign objective is going to be different. We are going to go for conversions, and I assume you're running a retail site. So when you're running a retail site, you always want to convert for purchases. Now that we get down to our ad set level, this is where you would select the type of conversion that you want to set for your objective. You don't see it here just because I don't have a pixel installed for our imaginary website, but you'll see it. It's a drag down bar, and you'll get to select either purchases, initiate checkout, the whole list. For our budget, this is where you have to figure out how much you're willing to spend. Keep in mind, you're going to have these ad sets running for about 3 days. So let's say you're comfortable spending $50. Don't put $50 as your daily budget. You would put about 17 bucks, right? So you're going to spend about $17 a day, if $50 is your budget. If you're starting off low, you can go as low as $5. People do $5 ad sets. Just keep in mind, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. The less money you invest initially, the less data you're going to be able to collect. It's still possible. It's just going to make the amount of time it takes longer. But it's a safer bet if you don't have much of a budget to work with. Once you have your budget input, you'll have your locations, and you're going to come down here to your interest, and we're going to target Lululemon, right? Okay, and it's going to leave you with a healthy 26 million people. Now, what flex targeting is just narrowing your audience. So let's say the product that you're selling is a yoga product. However, it's a yoga product targeted to people with a family, whatever that means. So you can just add a family household or something. Let's see. And suggestions are great. Always use suggestions. So family. And it narrows it down a bit. And then you can narrow further. You can just keep narrowing it down to really focus on the exact demographic that you're looking for. That's exactly what flex targeting is. And then after you get your interest set, you want to edit your placements. Actually, I didn't show you this about the PPE. I run only on feeds for Instagram and Facebook initially. Okay, now you have all that selected properly. You're optimizing for conversions. My conversion window, I like to do 7-day click or 1-day view. If you do 1-day click, it gets expensive, and it's really just trying to like get that conversion that day. So it's generally best to optimize for a week's time. Lowest cost right here for the bid strategy. Then you're going to go back to your ads, and like last time, you're going to not create a new ad. You're going to use the existing post, and you're going to go ahead and select the post that always the same post on your ad sets. That's the way you get hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds and thousands of likes or whatnot. Okay. Now that we have this created, you're going to see two different campaigns, right? So this is going to be running for our PPE and then for our interest. So we can go over to our ad sets, and for over here, you can duplicate it 5 times, 10 times, and then just go ahead into the duplicated ad sets and adjust the interests. So you don't have to re-input all the information, and it's also going to save the ad that you chose initially. You want to get a lot of these different interests going to see where your target is. And to briefly explain what all this means, honestly, no one has really done this, let me show you guys the idea of what we're doing with this Facebook platform. Let's say realistically, let's say each one of these O's equals whatever, 100,000 people, right? So we have 10 groups with 100,000 people. It's roughly 1 million people. Let's say there's 1 million people that we're selling to. Out of these 1 million people, really only probably 2 of these groups are actually going to buy your product. However, when you're advertising, you're forced to advertise to everybody until you can find those 2 people, right? So the best way to do it, and when you hear about scaling, in the testing phase, what we want to do is spend as little money as possible in order to get as much information as possible. So as we're spending and collecting data, we're going to realize, okay, this group's not going to buy from us, this group's not going to buy from us, this group's not going to buy from us. And then it's slowly just going to whittle down to a couple of ad sets that's showing metrics profitable, in which case we're going to want to take these 2 and up the budget on them, right? Because they're proven to be a profitable group of people to advertise to. So we want to sell as much as possible to just these 200,000 people, as opposed to wasting the whole budget on a bunch of people who aren't going to buy your product. Okay. So back to the notes. After you have your interest going, you have your PPE going, once you collect 100,000 views, that's when you get into lookalike audiences. And the first lookalike audience that most people really can get into, because you don't have too much data on your cold pixel, is going to be video viewed. And that's one of the main reasons why we're running these campaigns earlier on, is once it reaches about 100,000 views, you have a decent sample size, and we can base it off of that to create lookalike audiences. So the way to do that is you're going to go over here to your audiences, and then you're going to create a custom audience. And the way custom audiences work is it's going to be based off of people that have already been to your site. As you can see, these are the different types of custom audiences that you can create. So if you have customer files previously, or website traffic, app activity, engagement is something that you can also do early on. So engagement is the first step we're taking because we don't have too much data on our actual website. However, we do have data on the video that we've advertised. So we're going to go ahead and go select the video. And I like to start with 75% just because we're so early on. Later on, definitely recommend 95% video viewed. That's actually one of my strongest lookalike audiences currently. But I like to start with 75 and kind of warm up to it. But maybe it's better, but you can go ahead and start with 95. I like to do the past 30 days. And then our audience name, it's going to be pretty simple. Let's just say for product X, video viewed 95%. And then we're going to create audience. Because we don't have the video, a video to select, you don't see it, but you're going to be able to select the audience, and you're going to create a lookalike audience. The source is going to be the custom audience that you just created. So you're going to see under here, under other sources, you're going to see a custom audience named VV95, whatever you named it. For location, I generally like to start with the United States. It's best market. What this means is this is the most relevant 1% to your custom audience, right? So as you get higher up, you're going to get more people, but it gets less relevant. However, it doesn't mean that they're not going to work out as well, or maybe even better than the 1% or 2%. If you have a limited budget, I would start with just 1%. However, I went crazy with testing, so I would do something along the lines of this and create a 1%, a 1 to 2%, a 2 to 3%, just a bunch of different ad sets to get out there and see which ones are the most profitable. This is completely up to you. However, suggestion is don't have these audiences too small. For a place like United States, it's no issue because 1% is going to include 2.1 million people. But let's say you go to somewhere like Australia, 1% of Australia might be just 200,000-300,000 people. So you don't want to go too small. And if that's the case, all you have to do is extend the toggle over here, and it's going to double your audience size. And you'll go ahead and create these lookalike audiences. Now, creating these lookalike audiences, if you have the budget to do so, create as many different ad sets as possible, including interests, including lookalikes, and remember, have these ad sets run for at least 3 to 5 days. You don't want to cut them off too early. There's something called variance. All right, one day you might sell really well, the other day you might sell terribly. What matters is over time what your data is telling you. This is a tip that I don't hear too many people give, is that you should really be testing all different angles, not just within your ad platform. Analyze the data as you're going through. If you see some people getting stuck at add to cart or initiate checkout, take a look at your landing pages and see if there's anything you can adjust. Think in the mind of consumer. What's appealing to you and how do you adjust it to make it more appealing? Also, something to play around with is the price point that you've decided to sell at. If you are converting at a super high rate, like I was initially when I launched, I up my price. As long as it's not affecting your conversion rate, I would continue to up my retail price until I see pushback. Now, keep in mind, this is a testing phase. My advice is to open up a ton of different ad sets, but you have to remember a lot of these ad sets are not going to work out. Meaning, if you invest a lot of money into your testing phase, all that money is going to be spent on collecting data, not necessarily returning profit on it. And that's something really important because honestly, I probably could have saved a lot of money if someone told me that. Don't go over your budget. Figure out how much you want to spend and work backwards. I didn't realize that there were going to be so many ad sets that weren't profitable. Not to mention, when I first started off, I got into a lot of mistakes, creating ad sets that weren't optimized properly, weren't input properly. So really, if this is your first time going around at it, start small, $5, $10 a day, and scale up slowly from there. Now that we're talking about scaling, everybody has to understand you only scale ad sets that are profitable. You don't want to dump money into something that's costing you money, right? So a really important metric for us to look at is return on ad spend. You want to figure out your break-even return on ad spend or your break-even ROAS, just so you know the point where you're making money or losing money. To get the break-even ROAS, all you have to do is take your retail price. Let's say you're selling a product X for $10, right? You take that, you divide it by the gross profit. You're buying product X for $10 and it costs you $5 to buy the product and ship it, then your gross profit is going to be 5. So in that instance, it's going to be 10, which is the price you're selling it for, divided by 5. So your return on ad spend for product X is going to be 2. Once you have your break-even return on ad spend, you're going to know which ad sets are performing well enough for you to scale. And what you want to do is, when you look at it, let's say we figure out our return on ad spend is 2. Anything with a ROAS under 2, eventually is going to cost you money. Now, if it's very close to 2, let's say it's at 1.8 and up, I would continue to scale it until a large enough either amount of time or a large enough audience was presented this ad to make a real decision, because it can easily go from 1.8 on day 3 to 2 point something on day 10. So you do want to give ad sets time to optimize and time to mature. Now this tip right here is huge, okay? This is something that I am having a bit of issue with. Start with margins that are large enough, all right? You probably want to go at least 3 times your cost. So if you're buying a product for $5, you want to sell it for at least 15. You're going to end up fighting an uphill battle if you choose a product that's too expensive, and then if the perceived value on that product isn't that high, you can't sell it for good enough margins. And Facebook ads aren't cheap, and I think they're getting more expensive as time goes on. So you want to keep that in mind, because at the end of the day, no matter how good your advertisement is, no matter how good the product is, if you're not making enough money per sale, you're going to lose money. Now, as you're going in this testing phase, just create ad sets every single day. After a few days, if the ad sets aren't working, kill them off. Keep going with it, because ultimately, what's going to end up happening, and then once we get on to my next episode, we're just going to talk about our juicier lookalike audiences, we're going to be able to start scaling our profitable ad sets. And this can happen in the testing phase too, because don't forget, most of us are starting off with $10, $20, even $50. It's not that much per day to spend. You want to give it time to mature, you want to give it time to optimize, and you want to feed it enough money so it can do that. You're looking for about 25 to 50 conversions of what you're going for. So ideally, you want 50 purchases a week in that ad set for that ad set to be completely optimized. Now, something that's probably going to save you time and money are these tips right here. First off, I got my product up, I got sales immediately, I went on AliExpress, I was ordering the product, and then boom, my payment was being declined because I didn't verify it. So I had to wait about 3 days to submit my ID, the credit card. You could do that preemptively. Just verify your payment with them so you're not going to run into issues when you start getting your orders in. Most people are going to have unlimited inventory. However, what I did was I wanted to stay on top of the inventory size. I had my inventory size displayed on my page, so I was manually adjusting it. However, a few times it'll let my inventory completely die out while I was sleeping. So there's a good roughly 12 hours of time where I was paying for ads and I couldn't sell anything. And finally, don't get banned. Check out my previous video. I'm going to have a link to it below. It talked about how I got banned, how I got unbanned, and certain things you can look out for to try to prevent it from happening in the first place. I hope you liked what I had to present to you. If you found this information valuable, again, the link for these notes are going to be down below. Feel free to just go over the video. If you have questions about anything that we talked about, ask me below, and I'll be happy to answer them. A lot of you have been asking for personal contact info, and I still want to keep my Facebook private, so I'm actually going to make my Instagram public if you'd like to follow me there and contact me there. But if it has anything to do with what we talked about, I'd much prefer it asked in the comments, because that way everybody can learn from the questions you have. Now, the next episode is going to move on to my second to third week and how I start killing ad sets, scaling, creating different lookalike audiences, and we'll get into retargeting also. Thank you so much for watching. That's what I did my first week to get to where I'm at. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, found it valuable. For beginners out there, that'll definitely get the ball rolling. Focus on doing those things properly the first week, and it's going to set you up for success. Next video, we'll talk about what happened in my second and third week, get into more lookalike audiences, retargeting, and starting to scale. And as promised, I have the list of acronyms coming up, so you'll be ready to go on the next episode. Again, do me a favor, if you enjoyed the content, subscribe below, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bitch, I'm a savage, I spit at you bastards. I wonder what you gonna do to me, oh. I need to hear some more rapping. I'm just not impressed by your cash and your jewelry, oh. Are you my soldiers and I'm a lieutenant? God damn it, you should be saluting me, ho. I hope you know I ain't going nowhere. Are you rapping? Just better get used to me, ho, nigga. I must have blew on my G's. Bought me a Jeep, cause I wasn't riding as much. My bank account looking weak. Don't look at me. I ain't got time for no fun. Starting to feel like Tyrese. I'm about to trip and maybe start crying or something. I might just hit up the Smiths. Throw me a fit. Wait for my wire to come. Ain't nobody ever show me love when I was coming up. I had to double up and tell these niggas fucking love before they ride. And they don't really want to knuckle up. I hit them with the uppercut. I had these motherfuckers running for their lives. Unidentified craft when I'm